Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Let's do a recap of week 3 of the training so far. Week 3 was from the 29th of May to the 4th of June, and we're still in the endurance train block right now. We're halfway through the 6-week endurance train block. Monday was just a rest day. Just did some walking and some plyometrics, which I haven't done in a while. So, for example, jumping lunges and also box jumps. But then that left me kind of sore because I haven't done it in a while. So Tuesday was an 18k medium long run. Just did it at Olympic Park. I wore my Saucony Triumph 20s this time. Again, they didn't feel that great. I didn't get hot spots this time because I actually tried not getting hot spots throughout the whole runs. It just felt sluggish, awkward the whole run. Didn't really enjoy it. Wednesday was a 21k medium long run, again at Olympic Park. But this time I wore my Brooks Hyperion Tempo. So normally those shoes are like, I reserve for like faster days. Although I haven't used it in a while, but I normally reserve for like faster tempo runs or like interval train days. But decided to wear it to see how I feel in the long run, and surprised that they felt much better than the Triumphs. It's like lightweight shoes, so I felt way better in those. It wasn't as like soft as the Triumph 20s, but they felt great throughout the whole run. Thursday was an 8k recovery. Again, I just did it at the Bankstown City Sports Complex on grass again. I wore the Saucony Triumph 20s just to see how it feels on like grass, I guess, or like slower recovery runs. Didn't get hot spots because it was a relatively short run compared to my normal long runs. Just feel awkward. Didn't really enjoy it again. I might have to try some different things. And then Friday was a 14k run with 6k's of lactate threshold pace in between. Yeah, I think I did a 5k warm up first, and then I did the 6k LT pace, and then a 3k sort of cool down. I wore my Endorphin Speed 3s this time. It felt kind of rusty. I don't know why. I think I need to warm up properly more, or I need to add some strides as part of my warm up. Saturday was supposed to be an 8k recovery run, but just ended up doing a park run. I did a Rhodes park run. I wore my Endorphin Speed 3s. This time I actually ran fast for my park run. I got a PB as well. Shout out to Chris for saving me a spot near the front. Second, third row or something near the front. Because I never really start park runs near the front. It was kind of different this time, and I got a PB like of 18 minutes 14 seconds I think, and it's kind of awkward starting at the front because I'm not really used to like running or racing near the front. So everyone just out of the gates, they just flew out like 3:30 pace. I was like doing it like around 4 pace. I'm like, what's going on? Like it's kind of fast, right? Because I'm so used to starting at the back. Very fast 5k run on Saturday. Then afterwards just did some volunteering at the park run as well, bucket scanning, which is always fun. So Sunday was a 24k medium long run. I just did it at Sydney Park and Parramatta. I wore the Brooks Listen 20, and it was a bit rainy that day in the morning and felt kind of tiring. It's probably because I kind of pushed it the day before with the 5k park run. The Glycerins are kind of old now. They got like 1700 kilometers on it, so I'm starting to have to like really try to like put more effort in my long runs to get some decent pace. I feel like I was dragging my feet, and plus because it was like wet that day, the traction isn't great either for like really worn out shoes. So I still feel better in the Glycerins than the Triumphs at least. But I try to pick up a bit towards the last 8k of the 24k's, and that went okay, I guess. So I guess that brings the weekly mileage to around 92k's, which yeah, I'm starting to feel it a bit, but it's still manageable for now. I still need to look for like proper long run shoes, I guess, or something else to replace my Glycerin 20s. So right now I'm training about 6 days a week, and in week 3, I actually ran 5 times at Sydney Park. And the interesting thing is, I don't live around there. I live in Bankstown, and it takes me about like 15-20 minutes to drive there, or like around 30 minutes to 40 minutes to take a train there. I want to talk about why I think where you run matters, and also why you run there. Because there's a reason I ran 5 days a week there. But before I'll talk about that, I'll talk about where I used to run. So in 2020, when I first like started taking this running thing a bit more seriously, I was running at the gym and the treadmill. Like pretty much I ran like once or twice a week for like a month or two, exclusively at the treadmill. It's not a bad experience. I think some people don't really enjoy treadmill running because it's kind of cramped, it's indoors, there's no like wind, so like you get kind of sweaty. Like it gets kind of boring, right? It's very repetitive, it's very boring on treadmill. I personally didn't mind it. I just plug some music in, get my runs in and get out. Or I did it after my strength training sessions as part of cardio, right? And then early 2020, like most people know, there was like COVID outbreak, so the gym was like semi-closed. I'm just like starting to run outside. I was like, okay, why not try running outside instead of the treadmill? So I just took it outside. There's like a little oval near my place, like 5 minutes walk away from my place. Started doing a lot of my laps there. It's called Bankstown Memorial Oval. Relatively flat, like 500 meter loop around this like oval, and that's quite nice too. I did a lot of my train there, and then also sometimes I did it in Ruse Park, which is like also 5 minutes walk away from my place. It's like a little park that we just like walk around or like just run around. I did summer runs at Devil Park as well. Half an hour walk or 15 minutes run to get there, but it's like a flat netball court, so it's like a nice 700 meters square loop that I just like do my fast runs at. And then as I got fitter, I started doing like more long runs every weekend. I started running to Garrison Point or Lake Gillawana at Georges Hall. From my place, it's like a 6K commute run, I guess, to get to the park or Lake Gillawana area. A lot of my half marathons I did back then, my early days, were like from my house all the way up to Lake Gillawana and then back. Like since then, I haven't really run in my area that much. I still do sometimes, but like the majority of my serious training is not in my area. Like, Bankstown is quite residential and it's not like a conducive place for like running a lot. Some of the reasons why I didn't enjoy running in the residential areas is because like there's a lot of cars reversing, entering the driveways, and sometimes dogs just bark at you randomly, like and that kind of like throws you off a bit. Some streets in my area like are very hard to cross, or like there's very low visibility, so it doesn't feel very safe running, then suddenly have to stop to like cross the street. It's a lot of starting and stopping because of traffic lights and stuff. Like especially when I ran from Bankstown to Georges Hall, it's not great. Like your body keeps stopping and starting. You start feeling it and it kind of drains you. The Bankstown Memorial Oval, it's very populated and it's hard to like dodge and weave around people, I guess. So it's not really safe for me to like, or even like the people there, for like some guy just running laps around there, and it's very narrow, so hard to dodge people. Devil Park, it's like, I don't like running around squares. I think it's kind of bad for your joints. Garrison Point, Lake Gillawana, the commute there just isn't great. Like a lot of starting, stopping, very unsafe roads to cross and streets to cross. It's not pleasant, I guess. Just the trip to get there. Although I should be considering just biking there or like driving there if I had to, but yeah. I might still train at Lake Gillawana and Garrison Point more in the future if I want to train like hill work and stuff. It's a great hilly area, so that's where I built a lot of my foundations from long runs. Then I first started running at CityLink Park quite casually around early 2021. Really enjoyed it. It's like, I feel like it's built for like walking, running, walking a dog, pushing a pram, and biking as well, of course. And because of that, whenever I run there, I always feel like it's a great place to run, or whether it's fast, slow, tempo, long runs, intervals, whatever it is, or even hill work. It's quite a versatile place, so like that's why I do a lot of my training there. Even if it takes me a bit of time to get there, I'm willing to just get it done. I still do some runs in Bankstown these days. You know, for example, my recovery runs are still at the Bankstown City Sports Complex, that little grass area that I'm doing my 8K recovery runs at. It's close to my house too, so why not, you know? And sometimes I like doing the aerobic runs down Saltpan Creek. It's kind of like a trail area too, so that's quite nice too. And occasionally I will do some wrist park runs, but since I've been doing more runs at CityLink Park this year, like I feel like I have massive improvements in my running performance and fitness. My long runs there are like a bit more effortless compared to my old Georges Hall long runs, which always felt like a trek. It was always manageable. I can always get it done, but like it just didn't feel as mentally refreshing or even like physically refreshing as running at CityLink Park. I've never trained on a track before. I feel like I really should, because it's a really great way to get some speed work in. I haven't really checked out much. It's not very convenient for me to get to at the moment, or I haven't really looked hard enough. Same with trails. I don't really run trails that much. I mean, I do get some trails at the Saltpan Creek, which is great, but who knows, like maybe later on I might do more trails on weekends or just like occasionally for fun. But I guess another thing I want to talk about is, you also got to train specifically for your race course. Like if your race is going to be hilly, you got to get good at hills, right? If your race is also very flat, yeah, do too many hill work would also get you pretty like tired between your workouts. If you're gonna like race on a flat, make sure you train some flats too. And like, if you're gonna have a race on a track, get used to feeling on a track. So for the Sydney Marathon, it's gonna be a mix of hills and like flats. So yeah, I'm trying to get the best of both worlds at the moment with my training. I guess the main point of this is like, you don't want to limit yourself on where you train, but you also want to be mindful of where you choose to train. Like you gotta be intentional where you choose. So, like back then I just kept doing my runs at that circular loop and the square loop as well, which was great for my like building the base fitness or foundation or whatever. But like, at some point, you know, you gotta branch out, and I tried doing that. You know, I ran it towards Georges Hall, you know, where the first 6Ks just mentally drained me, but and then eventually CityLink Park, which I really enjoy my time there, and that's where I gained a lot of my fitness. But also in future, I might try more trails, go on a track, you know, run other places, and that's the main point, right? Don't limit yourself where you train, but also, yeah, be mindful, I guess. And that's pretty much all I have to say for now. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned a thing or two. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye.